Well, welcome. Let me say a prayer for this final meeting of our writers group. Father, thank you for this group and for all the people who have participated over the last 12 months. And Lord, thank you for all that we've learned. I pray, God, that you would continue to teach us, continue to guide us. Help us tonight as we set goals for the new year, as we celebrate the things we've learned, as we celebrate Christmas and just the birth of our Lord. God, I pray that you would just be in our hearts, give us a dose of encouragement and also a boost in our writing prowess, our abilities, God. I pray that tonight we would really be able to prioritize and filter and think through what we want to do next and what you want us to do next with our writing projects. God, we just love you and we trust you to guide us in all things. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Well, welcome. We've done 12 of these. This is my 12th one. I write my goals down on a little index card at the beginning of the year. So I'll have 6 or 7 of these little cards, and then I write down some of the steps that I want to do. And I used to switch them every 6 weeks or so. I'd switch the card and see what I need to do. But this year I just did like 6 or 7 cards, and doing this writers group was one of them. And so I get to check off the last check on my box, and I love that. Checks make me really happy, little check marks. And once I get it posted online, and then my hope is to turn this into a book. And along with Kent Sanders and a number of your comments and contributions, YouTube actually transcribes everything that we say. And so I have a transcription of over 100,000 words of all the sessions that we've done so far. And we're trying to decide if we want to sort through all that or start from scratch or what we want to do. So but it makes it nice. So now we have all the content, and even if it's not 100% accurate, it tells us all the different ideas people had, different topics that we covered. So I don't have to go back and watch everything or look through my notes. And it could be the beginning of a nice book. And so I'm gonna try it this year and just see if this works, doing it in reverse rather than writing a book first and then reading it on YouTube. How about I just talk on YouTube, let them transcribe it, feed it back to me, and I'll maybe turn it into a book from there. But as I was saying before we went live, YouTube really seems like the place to be for a lot of things. 2 billion people are on YouTube every month now. They just announced last month, and 2 billion people accessing YouTube. There's only 7 billion on the whole planet. So that's a lot of people. And it was only 1 billion a year ago at this time. So just in the last year, it's doubled in size. And so it really is a great place to get your message out. And a lot of people like video and they like consuming things like this or audio. Al's a big audio book listener. And so I still like paper. I still like print. I still like ebooks. So I'm going to try to offer this whole thing as a course that you could just get as a book, but it's all for free online too. And if you have other writers or writer friends and you want them to have a place to go, they can come and watch these 12 episodes. For the year, we covered a lot of topics. We started with why do we write at all? And what are we trying to communicate? Why does God want us to write? And why should we get our message out? How to get started? Where do you start? A lot of people just ask, I want to write a book, but I don't even know where to start. And so that episode 2 was about that. We talked about inviting other writers or other people to read your materials. We talked about laying out your interior of your book. We talked about laying out your cover of your book. We talked about launching. Talked about self-publishing. Talked about traditional publishing, marketing, and building your email lists. And we talked about things like YouTube channels. And we did our 30-day challenge in November. If anyone participated in that, I actually got the NaNoWriMo t-shirt for it. You buy it yourself. When you get to the end, the 2020 winner of the National Novel Writing Contest, it's just a contest that you print out your own certificate and you order your own t-shirt and pay for it. But I feel better that I counted my movie project of this St. Nicholas book. I had written the book several years ago, and then we turned it into a movie, and I finished editing it, and we're going to release it this weekend. So I went ahead and ordered the t-shirt and said, all right, I'm going to take a t-shirt for this. I think I get the prize. So if you need that kind of encouragement, they might still have some at NaNoWriMo. And if you felt like you accomplished your goal in the writing challenge, you can order yourself a t-shirt and print out a certificate and congratulate yourself. So Anyway, so that's what we looked at, and tonight we just want to talk about maybe your next steps. This is the last planned meeting I had for the group, but I'm glad to talk about your thoughts. If there's something that would help you, or if you think we should keep going, what would that look like? What would your next steps be? We can talk through some of that. But then, really, my hope more so is just that you would come up with some personal goals for your next step. Maybe it's a big thing, but maybe it's just a small thing. And Bridget, I don't know if you have that email handy of the next steps. Is there a chance you could pull it up?
If you give me a few
I'll
minutes.
give you I'll give you a minute. And
Thank you.
so I would like to look through that during tonight. Also, Al has a nice Christmas contest for us that he's going to set up, and he has a friend who he and his daughter make these beautiful leather purses, and we're going to give one of those away to whoever satisfies Al's requirements here. And so Al's going to set that up for us later, but we might do a little creative project as we're here tonight. And then also just any wins that you've had for the year. I'd love to hear those. And so maybe we can start with those wins for your year, maybe things you learned, things that you advanced on your project, or maybe how you felt like you got a boost this year in your writing, whether it was through this group or through something else. But maybe let's start with that. Just anything that we can celebrate tonight that you feel like you've taken a next step forward on in your writing projects.
Well, I can go, I guess, if
Sure, Cami.
can you hear me?
Yeah.
Well, my main project is a Civil War novel that I've been writing for years, and I'm still making progress on it. And your session on how to create a book to self-publish on Amazon.com, the details of that will be very helpful for me. So I thank you for that. But in between writing my novel, I write little pieces that are like I wrote a Christmas tree. And before that, a month or two ago, I wrote a story about the fire at that evacuated Estes Park, where you're going. And that was at the end of October that happened. And that fire almost burned down the YMCA camp. And all of Estes Park had to evacuate. It was a historic fire. But I wrote a story about it and compared it to some field fires that were here about the same time. Was able to tie that together. And I had met a lady at the YMCA of the Rockies when I was planning to go on a trip to Russia with them that got canceled by COVID. But I had met her, and I wanted to do something with this story because it was something that I felt could be encouraging to people at the YMCA because the fire had occurred there. So I just sent it to her and I said, use it however you want. And so about a week ago, I received one of many emails that the YMCA send me, because we go there every year and I'm on their list, and they send me all these emails that I don't really want all the time. There are a few good ones, so I don't take them off the list. Well, one of the emails they had sent was their newsletter. And I thought, I guess maybe I'll take a look at this. And it was a little bit of a challenge because the way they flipped the pages, I had to figure that out. And I almost didn't do it. But anyway, here I am reading this newsletter, and I started reading my own words. They had put it in there and they hadn't even told me. But that's the way God works, and it just blows me away and it keeps me going. It was almost better that they hadn't told me, because it seemed more divinely orchestrated that I found it that way. And that newsletter went out to thousands of people. Maybe only 100 people read that article, and maybe it only meant something to one or two people, but it would be the one or two people that God intended it to mean something to. So that's the kind of thing that just keeps me going. I love the way God creates unique ways um, to publish your writing, ways that you never would have thought of. And he keeps doing that in my life. And I just love it. It keeps me going.
That is so super. And really, it's a good lesson in there, too, of just, we have these ideas in our head, but if we write them down and if we just start putting them out somewhere, put them out somewhere, and God can use it. But if we keep them in our head or we keep it on our computer, it's sort of locked in a lockbox. So that's just beautiful because, who knows where it might go. And so that was a great, it's just a great, I love that. It's got to be really encouraging and probably really satisfying when you think, someone felt good enough about your writing to publish it and spend money on ink to get it out to lots of people. And that's, wow, I love it.
Yeah.
I've been trying to think this year what would make me what would give me satisfaction, like with my movie coming out or whatever. It's not a money maker for me, so it's not like on this weekend when it comes out, I'm gonna, is it a certain number of views that would make me happy, or is it I've just been talking with Alan Kent about this. What would bring me satisfaction? Because it's a lot of work. We do a lot of work, and this is the way with a lot of my writings. I do a lot of work. We edit it, we fix it, we get it on Amazon, and we sell a few copies, and then you sort of say, okay, was that it? I mean, am I supposed to be happy? But I hear this same phenomenon happens with whether you're a rock star and you play the Super Bowl, then you go to your hotel that night and go, okay, that was it. I thought that was the pinnacle, and I still don't feel anything different, or I've heard of bicyclers in the Olympics. One of them was a friend of mine, and she went to her hotel that night and was just like, she got the gold medal in her cycling event, and she just said that was it. I mean, this is the pinnacle of everything that I've worked for, and she's in her hotel room by herself and going to bed, and eventually she came to Christ because she just said, "There's got to be more to life," and so I think it's worth thinking through. What gives you satisfaction, and I can tell by the smile on your face that was just such a delight to get that in the mail and to read your own words and to have it be such a surprise. And there's a certain joy just in that alone, just in that you say, wow, this is gold.
Yeah, it as humans, we need feedback, but you'd like to be able to do it, as a gift to God without getting any feedback at all. And so I picture my writing as like when I'm done with it, laying it on the altar, giving it to God, like in the little drummer boy story, how the little drummer boy gave his drum to Jesus. And that should be enough for me. And also as I'm writing it, when those words come and they're just the right word, I find just the right word, it gives me great joy. Because writing is a gift God gave me, and when it works out and perfectly at that moment anyway, I think that boy take that from me. Will read the story. I know that God gave it to me, and I'm so happy to be able to have it, finished to lay on the altar, and that should be the greatest joy. Everything beyond that then is gravy. But I really need things beyond that. But I try to focus on the main thing, putting it on the altar, letting God take it and do whatever he wants with it, and then go right into the next project.
Super. Thanks, Cami. Other wins this year for you that you just felt good about or felt like you made some advancement here?
Yeah, no, Eric has been really encouraging to me, as he is to so many. And I've been working on something for quite a few years that I've actually just used as a Facebook page that he actually got me started on as well. It's been a read through the Bible, devotional type. So like for, I think it's been 6 years or 7 years. I don't know. It started out where I keep thinking I'm going to end it, and then the next year comes around, and what I've done is kind of started to reuse the writings that I'd used the previous year, but they were always like kind of fast ideas. So I developed them a little bit, So in a sense, I've kind of been editing over the time without real purpose for doing it. So he helped. He says, and I wanted to put this into a journal for my family, just for my for my progeny, for the grandchildren, great grandchildren, whether they look at it or not. I guess that would be what would make me happy. Maybe some generation down the line, some family member would come to Christ, or would at least see what their grandpa is about. So, anyways, what I'm doing, I shifted all my notes literally from the program notes. I did it last week, and it was very tedious for me to put it all from notes to I forgot what's the name of that
Pages.
not word.
Pages. You went to
Pages.
pages.
Yeah, pages. So, anyways, and then I think I finished 2:00 in the morning one night, and I said, okay, I'm caught up. I'm caught up now for this year. With it, not every single day is filled in, but a lot of days are, and then there's a lot of cleaning up I'll do. But at least I got like the rudimentary stage of something that he looked at and said, yeah, this is workable with where it is. So I thought, okay, that's enough. And then of course he said, no, since you did that, let's do the other book that you did too. So I'm going to do the same. I think it'll be a lot easier. It's only like 15 chapters or something like that of the book that I had kind of read the preface to last meeting. So I'm going to go ahead and put that out there too. I told Eric, if I die, at least this will be in your hands. You're responsible to do something with it. So I passed it off. So that was a couple of things that just happened recently.
Well, I think that's a great win, and there's a lesson in there too. That Al's been writing this for 6 years. Working on a daily Bible, sort of encourage people to read through the Bible in a year. He actually started, if you don't mind me sharing, he started this 6 years ago. We were talking about just a guilt-free way to read through the Bible, where you do a reading plan that you don't have to feel like you read every day, every single thing, because people get stuck. But if you just have a reading plan that says, here's what to read today, and you can skip ahead. If whatever day it is, just read that day, and you're going to get more Bible in you than if you try to catch up through Leviticus and try to keep going. And so it was sort of a guilt-free way to get into it. And so we started a Facebook group where he just commented on it, partially for your own value, but also for other people's, and to say, hey, I'm reading this passage today, and if you want to follow along, you can read along. And he posted the plan, and so he just felt like this would be a great way for him to read through the Bible in a year. He'd read a lot of the Bible, but I don't think you'd read the whole thing, or you don't remember reading from cover to cover anyway at that time. And
I started a lot of times.
Yeah, started and then wouldn't continue. So it was a way for you to get in, and also by writing about it each day, it kept you a little more interested and engaged, and other people were on the journey with you. So just writing publicly can help, just to sort of journal and write, and then the second year you're like, that was pretty good, and there's some days I missed, so I'm gonna do it again, and I'm gonna try to write about the days I missed. And then he did it a third year and filled in some more days, and then he did it a fourth year, and now he's just almost done with 6 years of reading through the Bible. And I said, you've got a lot of writings. And he's like, I don't have every day covered. I'm like, take everything you've got, let's put it together, see what you're missing, and make a book out of it. This will be a great devotional for people. And so I'm really glad he just took the challenge and tossed it all over the fence to me. So he gathered up everything that he'd written. I said, just toss it over. We'll work on it. We'll get you a book out there. And I don't know. It might be like Cammie, you say, we just lay it on the altar and say, God, what do you want to do with this? But as long as it just kept staying as Facebook posts forever and ad infinitum, then that works for a certain audience. But I think you're going to be really thankful and pleased that you have something, and like you say, to pass on to your children and your grandchildren and friends, and who knows, where it might go from here. And so I'm just really proud of you, Al, for not only doing this 6 years project, but also pulling it together in this last week or two. So way to make the most of COVID.
Yeah, thanks for the encouragement, and also the reminder that it started out as a guilt-free. So I can publish it this way, miss some days, and it'll be part of the
Yeah, it's part of the
and then-
package. It's part of the package.
Yeah,
Hey, there's some days
course.
missing, but don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I got more Bible in the last 6 years than I would have if I got stuck on Leviticus 12. So, Aaron, welcome tonight. I'm glad you made it in. I saw you were trying. So,
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I had technical issues and calling in from California. So, yeah, good to see everyone.
terrific. Glad you're here. We are just going through some wins from the year, the different things that we either learned about writing or have been encouraged in our writing or have accomplished some next steps. And then as we go on in the meeting, we're going to talk about what we hope for the next year. So right now we're just talking about wins, any progress you've made in your writing journey that you'd care to share with us, and we can celebrate with you. Cami and Al have shared a little already. So any others that care to share?
Only one quick question from Al. The readings, are the readings chronological, or whichever part could be somewhere from Luke and Isaiah? Luke today, Isaiah the next, day Revelation the next. What does it look like?
it is chronological. This is the canonical, I think it's called.
Canonical.
And that's sort of the order we find in our modern Bibles, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers.
Right.
Hi, Connie. Welcome. How are you?
Hi. Thanks.
You all want to smile? I'm going to take a screenshot. We've got a nice little square here. Smile. Aaron, you were going to say something. What's your?
Oh, yeah. I'm gonna take the what have you learned? But yeah, one of the things I learned is something that Mary had shared a couple months ago about how she plots out her fiction and just kind of has an idea of kind of where things are going, and that really helped me because since then, I was able to kind of outline a lot more effectively and feel very confident with the way my plot beats were going and how they fit into the broader story. And before that, I think I would write a lot, but then I would end up being like, oh, this isn't that good. And then I'll just start over. So, or I wouldn't know where it was going. So this has helped me to, kind of have more of that idea and the direction of each chapter within the book. I haven't really written out the prose. I just haven't had that level of inspiration yet, but I at least feel good about kind of the planning for later. So thank you, Mary, if you're listening to this later. Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, she just moved houses and was swamped tonight. She couldn't make it, but yeah, she will watch, and I'm sure that'll be encouraging to her too. Because it's true. I mean, if you have that whole outline, it really helps to just say, okay, I can work on this part or this part. At least you feel better. You have a plan. And I remember when your book, you were thinking more just little vignettes. There was sort of a vignette here and there, and maybe some short story or short animation. And I like that you decided to tie it all together into a broader, whether it's one book at a time or one season of shows at a time, or however you're going to eventually do it. I like that big overarching theme to really both help you as you write, but also to help the reader and the viewer.
Yeah, planning for a future streaming show. No, I don't know.
You should. That could be great. I was telling them that my ballet movie of my St. Nicholas book comes out this weekend on YouTube. And so that's been a long-term dream, and it'll be on my YouTube channel at ericelder.com. And I didn't know that I'd have a movie done this year. So I'm glad that it's actually happening and coming out. So yeah, and the streaming is the place to be. In fact, we were going to open, I think I shared this last month. Didn't we just do our private screening and the movie theaters closed down the next day so that we couldn't invite anybody, but my 3 kids came and we watched the whole show from start to finish at a movie theater, and there were only the 4 of us there in the whole theater of all the 14 theaters. So even if we had planned a big movie release, it wouldn't have helped this year. So YouTube's the place to be, online streaming. It's a good thing.
Eric,
Clayton?
I've been thinking about writing a little short story about various aspects of my life. And I want to read some titles.
Sure.
Falling Leaves, old Pictures, Soon and Very Soon, Praying People, Joy, Thank You, Snow in November, pray all the time, drugs, obituaries, glorious splendor, family, books, blessings, a match set of silverware. That's a story in itself. Christmas time. Nothing will be impossible with God. The prayer circle. Forever cheerleaders. Mincemeat pie, fried chicken, and homemade ice cream. That's a little bit of my growing up. And on and on. And here's a little article about the A sticker. During World War II, pastors were issued this sticker they put on their windshield, and they got a lot more gas than the average person. So that's some of the titles that I'm thinking about. That gives you an idea what I'm thinking about.
I love that, Clay. That sounds like a great book in the making, and I'm glad that you wrote them down and you're ready to go. You've already done a couple books in a similar vein, and I think this is really great to get your stories out there. You've got a lot of good ones.
Debating whether to give it a whirl or not. So I'm 89, so I better get going or I won't get it done.
Yeah.
I keep saying that every year too, and Clayton, you just keep going, and you keep writing more books. Every year you're writing books, so keep going. Why not? I love them.
Well, I would never be in the writing business if it wasn't for Eric Elder.
Well, you're a writer, but yeah, we got you on Amazon, so you're at least you're out there if people want to find you.
Thank you. Help.
Clayton, I have a new idea for you. As we were talking before, I watched your very first YouTube video that you shot this last few weeks ago, and Bob helped you shoot that. And I think you should turn some of these stories into that. I think you could just shoot one of those, every few days. You could write down your notes, and then
who's going to come and shoot it? Are you coming over and shoot it?
I can come, sure. I'll come shoot it with you.
That's enough of me.
I think we should. And that way you don't have to worry about putting out an entire book. That's overwhelming. But if we just put you on YouTube and you just start telling us some stories, I think that'd be wonderful. And then people can not only read your stuff, but they'd get to watch you too, and your kids and grandkids and great grands, and they'd get to watch you. I think it'd be a nice idea. So anyway, that's my pitch for your 2021.
Okay, maybe we'll talk about it over a piece of pie.
Yeah, okay, a piece of mincemeat pie and some homemade ice cream.
I haven't had mincemeat pie for years and years. Who makes mincemeat pie? Nobody that I know of.
I'll find a recipe. We'll get you one.
If you do it on YouTube, it'll be like, back in the day when you used to listen to the stories on the radio. Yeah, it'll be like that.
And
only we'll be able to see you.
I will mention this because I think it's helpful for people. I recorded our conversations when we were talking about your first book that we put on Amazon, and you were telling me the stories and telling me what you wanted, and then we sort of put it together. And I had several people ask me, they said, "Oh, you recorded those conversations with Clayton? Could we get recordings of those? We'd love to hear what he said off the cuff about these different topics." And I haven't given them to anyone, but I still have those recordings. But there were people that asked because they love to hear your commentary on life and your stories, and not just the polished words that you've come out on page. But I think it would be really nice to do a YouTube segment. You could do once a week. Make a goal of once a week, Friday afternoon, you do a YouTube. I like it. I think you got your new goal set.
All right.
One of the episodes could be him showing us how to make a mincemeat pie, I think.
Yes. Why don't I come over? We'll make a mincemeat pie together. You can tell the story while I make a pie.
And homemade ice cream.
Oh,
I'm liking this.
January. Let's make a goal for January. We'll do the mincemeat pie story.
Okay.
In person. All right. Other wins from 2020? Anyone care to share?
I've just actually been listening to you all, trying to figure out where do I fit in the writing part of it. I I'm an artist, I'm an art teacher, and it's been a long time since I was in college, but I went to grad school about 6 months ago, and I'm in art education, but there's also writing with it. Well, in the last probably 5 or 10 years, I've been doing paintings, and then we've been having to write with them when we show. So now I'm thinking, as I'm listening to you all, you do a devotional book, but I think for me, I'd like to try to create a book with the painting pictured on one side and the writing of it on the other. So I don't know if that would be more like a coffee table book. I don't know what it would be. It'd have to be a hardback, probably have to be glossy pages or whatever. But I mean, if you want, I mean, they're very short. I could share something. I could get feedback of.
Yeah, share one. You've
Okay.
just written these. You've just written it about one of your paintings. Do you have a picture?
Yeah, no, well, these have been written from a long time ago because I started showing with Angel Ambrose does the Good Friday show at the at one of the large churches here in town, and so we'd show every year. So I really should write with it. This is the one I'll read about. This one, this is a painting I did on a class, and so I just called it the Path of Peace. So my favorite place to be is outdoors in the warmth of the sunshine near a lake or a flower garden. For me, that is where I naturally feel complete peace. When I rededicated my life to Christ, I was not on the path of peace. I was in a place of loneliness. God called me back to him and gave me a place to rest in my spirit so that I may have eternal life. As Jesus was telling the disciples of his future calling to take our sins upon him at the cross, we read that the disciples are resisting the truth and not wanting Jesus to leave them. Jesus replies with the gift of peace for us, and quotes, "These things I have spoken to you while being present with you, but the Holy Spirit whom the Father will send in my name, he will teach you all things and bring to your remembrance all things I said to you. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. Not as the world gives, do I give to you. Not as our hearts be troubled, neither be afraid." John 14:25-27. So I just kind of write something short about it. And then there's like the other things that are very there's like abstract. I'll try to show this one. I don't know if it'll show or not.
Could I look at that first one more time?
The picture.
Yeah, is it okay to just, could you hold it up a little
Yeah.
slow?
It's I've
That's
actually
really nice.
prints of it. Just
Wow,
you know. And
love it.
learned from a great art teacher. I mean, she just sat and painted with us, and we had like a 6-hour class. But with all the people in the class, everybody's doing the same thing, and they all turn out so different. So it gave me the preparation to be an art teacher for the kids, because I have several hundred students a week, and they're elementary. But I'm like, this is all going to turn out different, and they're really individualized, even though we do the same thing. So it's kind of one of those confidence builders that everybody has an individual personality. Everybody has a way they write about something or make art. So I have been trying to teach the kids more of the writing, like let's write about the art. Let's do what the artists do. They write about it. So I think I just got challenged just to keep writing about, I guess I was trying to showing it a little bit in some of the art studios. So I was writing about it, putting it up with the art. Like this one is totally different, and I didn't used to be an abstract artist, but this is like a very large, okay, it's just this layers of paint and then this at the top. So this is called layer. So I look at them after I do sometimes, and then I'll name them later. Layers of Freedom. It's acrylic. Let's see. Layers of Freedom had no plan or purpose in the initial undertaking of a neutral color artwork. However, my paintbrush happened to touch the red on my paint palette, and then it took a whole new direction. In the several hours I spent creating layers of paint with no plan in mind, I continued to think I should not have touched that red color. I intended to make a neutral artwork. The next day I looked at the work again and saw a butterfly shape at the top of the canvas. Thus came the title, Layers of Freedom. So many times I try to plan my own steps of freedom in life, when life oftentimes plans itself. I'm learning to sit back and let the master plan happen for me, so not to care if my life touches a different path. So
that's awesome.
So
that's really
those
cool.
are the kind of sometimes I write some history about the Bible in it, like this Hosanna one's got a lot of mistakes in it, but it's kind of a Jamaican type flat type picture. But then it's made me interested in looking up historical things, and I'm not a person that really loves history, but and that one I wrote more about what the symbols meant in the Bible and of the Near East and the palm branches. And so I guess most of the time I attach a verse to it, but not always. But when I write for like books, I just started that with Eric encouraged me a few years ago to start that. I don't usually put too much scripture in the books. It's more like experiences. So I think that maybe I should take all these things that have been floating around in my files and kind of get those out and decide how it goes together. So that's the only.
What do you guys think about Karen's idea?
The one about neutral, I would love to have a copy.
Oh, okay. Well, okay.
The new year is coming,
Mhm.
and New Year's resolutions.
It seems like some things could have different directions. You know, I mean, obviously the first thing was kind of a traditional painting, and then the other one was just, you know, expressionism or modern art. But I enjoy various aspects of art, you know, or music, and I love it when, you know, how did something come together? So just what you said on that, you know, how you you kept questioning yourself after, wondering, why did I touch this with this red? But it was like, you know, that was the road not taken. You know, all of a sudden you did something for not really knowing why, but you took, you know, life takes us in different directions, you know, so it seemed kind of philosophical to me.
Yes, a variety. So if you were to look at a book with art in it, about how many pages would you want that book? Like, how would it be, like just like 20 pages? Like,
I was going to ask you what you envision, what you're envisioning for it.
I know I'm looking at the, you know, like a thin book that sits
Coffee
like
table, hardcover, glossy. Yeah.
Right. Okay, this is going to be kind of silly. Hang on a second. I did this inside of a table. This is my self-portrait inside of a table. I don't know if you can see it. So these kind of tables that I'm talking about, I would like to make some artistic tables, and there would be a place that you set an art type book on it. Like it's a whole display together. So I guess I would say the book itself is not the whole piece of the art. So the book, I would think, would be like kind of not irregular size, probably like a 8 by 16 or something, but not like it would take you a long time to go through it. You know, it's just something to like make you think. You read a few things and now you're kind of thinking about, I don't know what it says to you. So probably not more than, I would say, 10 to 20 pieces.
Yeah.
You can do that. You can do that on Shutterfly.
Yeah, that's true. Shutterfly.
Lulu.com does hardbacks too. Bridget, looks like you pulled out a coffee table book.
Well, I have, Karen, I know this isn't really what you're talking about, but I have
yeah, but that's where I got my idea, where I'm always showing books to the kids and like, here's their artwork and here's their description. And so maybe I have a biography of myself in there too, but
well, this is I forget, let me see. I forget his name. I'm sorry.
Right. Short.
This is the 4 Gospels, and it just illustrates, and I just love the artwork and being able to live with it.
Right.
And so to me, you know, something, you know, beautiful like that. I just love that. So I don't know if that's the kind of project you're talking about, but I definitely love it.
And Karen, I think it's a perfect marriage of your gifting. You're an artist, you're an art teacher, you're passionate about art, and you like writing too. And so I think it's really nice to have your art and then explain what it's about and what it moved you. And it also gives an outlet for your art, because then you've got not just one book. You know, you can do 20 pictures in one book, and then you can do another 20 in the next book. And I don't know how many pictures you have over the years that you'd like to write about, or if you want new ones.
These paintings. What do you do with these paintings? They just sit around.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Yeah. I think it's a great work to repurpose and get your art out in front of people. And I really love the upsell idea of the table. The books, you know, it's $25.99, but the table's, you know, $299. So if you don't have a coffee table, here's a table to go with your book. I love that.
Yeah. So
I think you might actually tap into how to get rich with writing books now. That's
no. I just bought
The rest
this
of us are
phone.
trying to get by with like $1 or $2 or $5 profit, but yeah, you could.
Yeah.
We'll
Well,
call it her. We'll call it her table of contents.
yeah, that's true.
Oh, that's
That's true.
Nice.
Really, that is good.
I think you
Well-
should. I think you should sell them that way, Karen.
The
Sell
table
them
of
as table of contents, and the book comes with it.
That's a really good idea. Well, I know I learned from y'all that you have to be disciplined to write. And so I just bought a little house and it has these 3 bedrooms right there. And the first front room, I'm going to write in there. So I have to, when I go in there, nobody's here but me, but just shut the door and I have to write. So that's where I'm starting this next year.
Super. I think
That's
it's a
right.
win. Anyone else agree? I
That's
think
great. Yeah.
great
Yeah,
project.
yeah.
You've already got a customer in Neville. He's ready to.
Yeah.
You might,
I really like the neutral woman.
well, speaking of next year and goals, and maybe we should turn the corner here. And if you still have some wins you want to share, we can share them in this aspect of it. But Bridget had written down some things, and I shared them in the email. Maybe just as seed thoughts for what do you want to put on your 2021 goal list? What would you like to do? And maybe Bridget could read through some of those. Maybe think through if you have a pen and a paper, or you want to take a note on your computer or something. Maybe jot down a few of these that maybe strike you, or if it sparks something that oh, actually, I'd like to do something that's not on the list. And we can share some of those as you read. But if you'll read slowly, Bridget, maybe you can go through some. These are some suggestions she had that came to her mind.
I started it off with my next step is to, when you're thinking about 2021 and your particular writing journey, exactly where you are, what is the next step you need to take? And these were just some suggestions. My next step is to become more informed about the writing and publishing world by listening to Kent Sanders' podcast each week. I think it's a daily podcast, but maybe you just make a commitment to listen to it weekly. Research traditional publishing by reading someone's blog on a weekly basis. Maybe your next step is to research self-publishing by listening to Joanna Penn's podcast. Joanna Penn does a wonderful self-publishing podcast. You can listen to it, you can read the transcripts, whatever. She has done this for 10 years. It's called The Creative Penn, Penn. Her last name is Penn. And if you're thinking about self-publishing, I really would look at her as a resource. Maybe your next step is to write an outline. I think Aaron was talking about his outline. Maybe that's your next step. I'm going to write an outline. Maybe your next step is to finish the book. Just finish it. Maybe your next step is to revise the book. You've written it, and now you need to go back and start revising it. Maybe your next step is to join a writing group in your genre, if you're writing fiction, or maybe one that meets locally, even if that means just meeting on Zoom. I know with the COVID, everything's a little bit different, but meeting other writers in person is very, very valuable. So I'm just throwing that out there, that it's very valuable to meet other writers in person. But if that's not available to you, then hook up with writers on Zoom if you can. Maybe you join a critique group. And a critique group is different from a writer's group because the purpose is to read each other's writings and to critique it. And there's a whole art to critiquing someone's work. Eric had mentioned how an encouraging word is helpful, and a discouraging word can just really knock the legs out of a writer.
Mm-hmm.
So be very careful. I mean, I'm saying this as someone who's been in many critique groups. Be careful about if you join a critique group, but be careful about the group you're in, and make sure that they are encouraging writers, because sometimes other writers are not encouraging for whatever reason. So protect yourself is what I would say. But critique groups are wonderful. They can be wonderful. Maybe your next step is to find 3 beta readers to read your revised book. And if a beta reader is someone who is knowledgeable, who's a good, strong reader, and what is best is someone who has read the kind of book that you're writing. So like Connie, who writes poetry, is that right, Connie?
Mm-hmm.
It would be best if she found people who were familiar with poetry, who read a lot of poetry. They don't have to be poets, but who read poetry, and they can give her the best. A beta reader can give you the best feedback because they've read in that particular genre. That if you write devotionals, they read devotionals a lot, things like that. And it's probably best to, and I'm speaking as an editor now, before you find an editor, to have your book, your manuscript, whatever, either go through your critique group or go through well-informed readers before you think about hiring a professional editor, because the work that a critique group is going to do, or the work that the beta readers, the feedback you'll get from them, will save you a lot of money before you hire an editor, because they will help you find problems in your manuscript before you are ready to publish it. But maybe the next step you want to take is to hire a professional editor. Maybe you don't. Maybe your next step is to start an email list. If you're looking at marketing your book, there's a lot of strategies, and a lot of them include email list. Eric has a very successful email list, thousands, I think. And that's how he gets out information about this group. Isn't that right, when you started?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Maybe your next step is to create an author website. Maybe your next step is to self-publish your book on KDP, is to press that button, publish. Maybe your next step is to research how to market and advertise your book. And this is more of the business side of writing, but still, that's still part of the publishing life. Maybe your next step is to run an advertising campaign. That's a big part of publishing. If you're self-publishing, running an advertising campaign. And maybe your next step is you're through with this particular project, and now you're ready to brainstorm ideas for another project. So those were all just different ideas I had for, depending on where you are in your journey, what your goals are you're trying to accomplish. Just different steps you may be wanting to take, either with the current project or just in what you see as as a writer, where you see yourself going next. So that's some next steps.
That's super, Bridget, and I love the explanation and the extra information with each bullet point. Anyone have any that come to your mind that struck you that you think maybe you want to add to your list for 2021? Or if you're watching this later, it might be 2022 or 2035 or whenever you're watching it. But what struck you?
I think for me, it's just writing.
Just doing it?
Yeah, I don't know if finishing the book is too ambitious, but just writing in general.
Mm-hmm.
Pen to paper.
Is it helpful for you to think in terms of goals per week or per month or per anything, or is that overwhelming to you? Or like if you had,
Yeah, maybe I could do, like a chapter a quarter, or maybe just get something raw down, and then even if I don't love it, or if I
Mhm.
know it needs a lot of revision, just get it out and then come back to it.
I like that. I like that. Yeah. Sometimes just writing. And the best way to learn how to write is to write. Best way to learn how to pray is to pray. I love that. That's a great goal. I've shared before, I write only when I'm inspired, and I try to make sure I'm inspired by 10 a.m. every day. That's not original, that's someone else's, but sometimes there's a matter of discipline to it too.
I have a question. You said to find a critique group and be careful with that, but is it more like, I know I'm probably not ready for that at all. Is it more like constructive in the beginning to find just a mentor, or is that?
If you can, if there is someone who is willing to mentor you, then that one-on-one is always very helpful. And it might be that a writer's group is, and I think you said you were already in another writer's group. Is that right?
No, I an artist group, and they were looking at artwork. So,
well, sometimes joining a writer's group, which is, I don't know, in COVID days, but usually that's a group similar to this, but it's just meeting to discuss writing, and then from there you kind of can meet other writers who are doing similar things, and branch off and kind of find some accountability and learn with them. Any kind of networking with other writers is always a benefit, I think.
Other thoughts that struck you as Bridget was reading the list, things that you might want to jump into for 2021?
For me, I would like someone to read my material.
You want to, yeah,
a reader.
A reader. Yeah, that's
are you talking about like a beta reader, or readers as in?
What is beta reader? What is that?
A beta reader is someone who reads your finished manuscript, your finished work, and then just gives you feedback.
Oh.
They may not necessarily be writers, but they are experienced readers. And they can give you, they can
are you looking more maybe for someone just to read it as you go, sort of write and send something off, or?
Precisely.
Yeah.
Read it as I go.
As you go, because right now it's just all you and your computer.
Correct. I've enlisted a couple of people, one in Trinidad, one in Guyana, and I sent them some material a long time ago. I'm not hearing back from them.
Yes.
Did we already talk about ACFW? Sorry, since I missed some of it.
What is ACSW, Ashley?
The Association Fiction Writers, and that's an association of Christian fiction, little online or whatever. And then you can join their critique group. And so it is Christian. So we're taught not to just write into people, so to try to balance the, positive feedback with the constructive criticism. And it's kind of a do however much you want. Like you critique like 3 other people's work, 2 or 3 other people's work, and then you can get 2 or 3 critiques back or whatever. And so if you're doing it, you can submit up to 2 chapters a week, I think, or 2 2,500 word sections per week. But you can also just do once a month, so you kind of work at your own pace. And I've loved it. That's how I got feedback through my whole first draft of my novel. And I really, really like it. The group.
That's great to know. And the website is ACF as in fiction, W, AC, AC.
ACFW.
Association
and
of
people
Fiction
were really
Fiction
nice
Writers.
most of the time. And I really have enjoyed it.
And that acronym means what?
Association of Christian Fiction Writers.
and I would love to read what you write, Neville. My time commitment is harder though, and so I would be I wouldn't want to be like your friends that offered and then couldn't. But yes, I would love to. I would love to read, one draft of something, and I think I think what you're writing is super, and I've thought of some other people that might be really interested in your writings on Paul too. If you get to where you'd like to share, I'd like to see that project particularly. So, but I've offered this like for others, and I'm glad to take a look once or twice at it and just get back to you if your timing is not critical, then I can do that. But if it it's harder if it's ongoing, and that's where I think like Ashley's group sounds great. If you can do the sign up to where you're reading other people's and they're reading yours, and it's a good.
Yeah, if you could find the nonfiction equivalent, it would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great. Bridget, I'm curious, what's on your list for your next year? Do you have a goals in mind already, or are you in your writing endeavors?
Do as my writing goals. 2020 as far as writing was I was supposed to have published a book that I had slated back in October, but I hit I finished the manuscript and then stepped back and looked at it and realized, oh, I have missed the mark here as far as reader expectations and stuff. And I mean, it just took the wind out of my sails. I was like, I've done this enough. I shouldn't have made this kind of stuff. I really stumbled. And so it took me a little bit to get my feet back under me. And so now I've pushed back the publication date into 2021. And I'm in the process of a very significant revision. So that's what my goal is to just
finish the book.
And sorry, what's your genre again? What genre do you write, Bridget?
This is a young adult historical fiction.
Oh,
I write for children's. I write children's chapter books and middle grade and young adult. And so this is it's a new series that I've started, and I knew what I was doing, and then I wrote a completely different thing. And it's like, no, this isn't what anyway. So that just shows you, I mean, you can know what you're doing, and then you wander around and go, well, I've made all kinds of mistakes. So, oh well. So my goal is to publish this first book in this series. Probably, I'm hoping for early, late spring or early summer.
Super. That's great to hear. And Bridget, if you've been with us through the months, she's actually helping edit several people's books in the group, I think, or a few people's already. So if you need to hire an editor or someone to help you on the side, Bridget does that in between her own writing projects. But she's been a great asset and friend to me for many, many years, and so I appreciate your input to the group, Bridget. And thanks for
definitely. Thank you.
Yeah. This is a great group.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Appreciate it. And the reason I'm switching from this group, I'm going to flip it into a Christian musicians group next year and try to do 8 or 10 or 12 episodes of how to get your music published online. So if any of you are interested in getting your music out to Pandora and Spotify and all those streaming services, that's another area that I've spent a lot of time working on, and sort of the other half of my creative endeavor. I do a lot of writing, and then I do a lot of music composition and getting music out, and my other people's music out. So I'd like to do the same thing next year. That's one of my goals, and I don't know if I'll get it.
Cool.
I don't know if I'll quite get it started in January, but that would be, ideally I'd start it and we just continue on the third Wednesday of the month and we'd talk about music. So maybe it'll inspire you to become a musician. Maybe you don't play anything or sing, but
Do you teach songwriting?
I don't. But Al does a lot of songwriting. So
Al does? Okay.
Al has run a songwriting group out in Orange County for years. They do songwriting and guitar playing for all kinds of venues. He helps coordinate volunteers to go. You've gone into dozens and hundreds of small churches and nursing homes and hotel lobbies and places with guitarists. His group was called Guitarists Into God, or GIG for short, which was very nice. And they met once a week, and he's still doing guitar lessons for under-resourced kids that come to their church for some of their programs. And anyway, Al's had a long run of songwriting and working with other songwriters. And anyway, but yeah, I could maybe do one. I think we could do one episode on songwriting, and I could probably share everything I know about songwriting in one episode, and Al could supplement what I don't know in that episode. I do love
everything I do, Eric, is guilt-free, just like my Bible journal.
Guilt-free songwriting. I love it.
So yeah, everything I just I do know songwriters and have done it and everything, but I never take it to the I don't run with it very far, let's put it that way. I'm a good starter.
And Ashley, your question does make me think, I've never thought about teaching songwriting, but I mean, I did just write a whole musical with 25 songs in it, original composition. So if I think about it, I might be able to think of something that has helped me.
Yeah.
But I haven't even sat down. I've just been writing. I haven't been thinking about how to share it with it. So I'll definitely think about that as an episode. But that's why I'm switching over, and but I'm glad to still be available to you, and I just want to help people get their Christian worldview out to people, whatever genre it might be. But I just think we should flood the market with great thinking and great thoughts and things that really help people with their lives. So. And then,
Eric, I do need to get back in touch with you because I want to do a blog on your musical for next week, but I don't know how busy you are.
Next week, I'm here until Monday, and then I leave Tuesday for the holidays, so I'll be here.
Okay.
So if you
so
want,
I want to maybe ask you a few
over
questions.
the weekend or Monday. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, if you have time, just like asking you kind of stuff you might already have prepared or something about your musicals. So
sure.
Yeah. That would be awesome. Yeah. Also, if anybody's willing, my music video came out today for Oh Holy Night. So if you don't mind, I'll send it to you guys. And if you're willing to watch it and give it a thumbs up if you like it, that would be really helpful.
Oh yeah, can you post the link in the chat room?
Sorry, and my husband says, and subscribe. Can I put that in this text thread or
yeah,
in this?
In the text chat, just paste the link there and we can copy it and get it out. And everyone.
That would be awesome.
Okay. Congratulations.
That's great.
Thanks.
I know it was a big Christmas present you were going to give to all your viewers, so that'll be beautiful.
Yes. So hopefully, okay, I'm trying to find the chat thing. Oh, here we go.
Ashley has a YouTube channel, and she plays the violin, and she has other guests help her put together music. So if you want to watch it, enjoy it, and then promote it to other people, that'd be great. There's the link.
Yeah, that would be.
In the chat.
Did it show up?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, that would be very helpful because it actually is from the It's supposed to be kind of like the excerpt I read last month. From it's like the midpoint of my novel was the Oh Holy Night. So this is like supposed to be like the scene. So yeah.
Great. So this is the song that goes with that chapter.
Yes. And thanks, you guys were so encouraging. And Bridget, I remember she was giving such sweet encouragement. Of course, I was like crazy with all the kids last month, but I appreciated all of your advice and suggestions. So thank you.
Super. This has been so super. And all the sessions I've loved, and I've really enjoyed getting to know all of you and spend time with you. And I just some of you are even newer to the group and the episodes. I'm glad to have you here, and I do hope we'll stay in touch. You can always find me at theranch.org is my main website, or ericelder.com is my YouTube channel. And you're love to have you follow along. I'd love to keep up with you and keep hearing how your projects are going or anything I can encourage you on from time to time. That would be super. I'd love to do that.
Thank you for your hard work, Eric. Thanks for
Yep.
putting this together.
Thank you.
Really nice.
Yeah,
Yes.
thanks. And keep
Thank
us
you
posted
so
on the
much.
music class too.
Okay, I will. I
Thank
will.
you.
Great resource.
Rick.
Thanks, Neville.
This is a great resource. Thank you very much.
Great.
Thank you. I'm sure I'll be looking at those recordings over and over again as I finally get to the point of self-publishing.
Ready to publish. You can go through step by step. That's good.
Right.
Yeah. And maybe I'll have a book next year. Kent and I were going to try to turn this into a book. So we'll see. We'll see if we were talking about it again this week. So we'll see if that makes it on our early 2021 list of goals to do. Well, super. Thank you all so much. And I do hope you'll check out the movie this weekend. Just go to ericelder.com. It's Friday night at 7 Eastern time. It will be the premiere, but then it'll be online. It'll live there forever. But the more people we have watch this weekend, the more YouTube gives us extra points and it gives us more boost. So I'd love to have you watch. It's an hour and 15 minutes, and it's a beautiful Christmas story. Great to watch with your family or with your friends, or invite other people online just to sort of watch along with you. And it's a beautiful version. I think it's gorgeous. So I'm really pleased with how it turned out. I hope you like it. It's called One Life, a Christmas Story Ballet.
Sounds great.
Terrific. Well, thanks.
I'll check in with you about the questions. So
Yeah, great. All right. Well, let's say a prayer and we'll close out. Father, thank you for this night with these other believers that love you and love writing. God, I pray that you would seal these things in our hearts, that you would encourage us as we go forward. God, that we would weather criticism and use it for good when it's helpful and let it go if it's not. God, I pray that you would help us really to get works out there, Lord, whether it's to get something to an organization they can publish in their newsletter, whether it's something that we can just lay on the altar before you and just offer to you and ask you what to do with it, Lord, whether it's to put it on Amazon and let other people find it so someone might turn it into a ballet, or who knows, God, what people might do with these, or to pass on to our children or grandchildren or family members or friends. God, I pray that you would help us to get these words out and to really use them like you do, God. And you created the whole world with a word. You spoke and it came into being. And God, I know our words have power like that too. And when we speak, things can come into being. People's hearts can be touched. People can be changed. People can be healed. God, I pray that you would help us to use our words well and wisely. And we just trust you, God, and your Holy Spirit to guide us in everything we do. In Jesus' name. Amen. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year to you.
And to everyone.
yes, Merry Christmas.
Super.
Merry Christmas.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye.